Survival is defined by Merriam-Webster as the state or fact of continuing to exist in spite of difficult conditions. Survival is a human necessity, and in a lot of ways, it begins to shape the way that we choose to navigate the world. We can find the various tactics used by our ancestors for survival in the way that we live today, whether or not the conditions they created them in exist for us today or not. For example, a strong work ethic could be traced back to the ones who came before us and had to build with their hands what we tend to have easy access to. Or the way that we spend money, for instance, could be traced back to that great-great-grandfather who had to provide for a family of 10. The tactics that we use every day for survival are designed to defend our culture, our values, our personal rights, our traditions, or our ideals. But there's a very strange thing about survival. If survival is defined as the state or fact of continuing to exist in spite of, then in spite of insinuates some sort of opposition, some sort of opposing force that we have to defend ourselves from. What happens then when what we use to defend our culture, our values, our traditions, or our ideals begins to center in on the differences of those that we were designed to coexist with rather than defend ourselves from? I want to tell you a story about a time that survival changed for me and my family. It was the summer of 2014. It was very shortly after the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown by a police officer. My parents were preparing my younger brother here, an avid runner and incoming college freshman, for his first semester at school. So my mom sat him down and gave him a very strong list of suggestions that he was to take with him to his first semester, like I'm sure many other mothers have done. And so she sat him down and she looked him in the eye and she said, "I want you to remember that your educational success is your first priority. So that means not too much partying or none at all. She said, cultivate good study habits. Choose your friends wisely, and boy, you better manage that meal plan." But then the conversation took a very interesting turn as she added, "And I know you're a runner, I know that you love running, but please just don't run with a hoodie on. Be very careful around police, be respectful, but just try to steer clear of them. If you have to walk around during the day or at night, just make sure that you're walking with someone. And God forbid you get pulled over by an officer. Just keep your hands on the steering wheel and don't you think about touching your wallet." Those are things a mother should never have to tell her son when preparing him to go to school. So me, being a young African-American young adult, I realized that I'm only one person. But I felt the strongest urge that I had to do something. I'd spent the majority of my undergraduate design career trying to solve the questions that I had surrounding being an African American in America. Questions about our visibility, education, or the way that we were portrayed in the media and the news outlets. All on a quest to find what I realized was simply understanding. Empathy is defined as the ability to share in the feelings of someone else. And so, as I approached my final year of school and my senior capstone, I just had one question to answer, and that was, how do you cultivate empathy between differing cultures?